give a warm welcome to Emily Han Young.
Story. Oh, there's the mic. At least not one in the traditional sense. I'm here today to report to you from the middle. And in an effort to sidestep melodrama, I'm doing so with the aid of some truly terrible pictures. So the topic of lost has a lot of personal significance for me. My tattoo actually means one art in Korean, in reference to the Elizabeth Bishop poem that goes, the one art of losing, the art of losing is hard to master. As you can guess, loss has played an important role for me in my creativity and in my identity. I was adopted from Korea when I was 4 months old. And while I am sincerely grateful to be here, the truth is that it was still a loss. I lost a country, I lost a culture, I lost a family, and I lost the ability to have a lot of my personal questions answered. And because of that, because my cultural and familial history were a mystery to me, I find myself creating a personal mythology in its place. Where facts are inaccessible, there's a cultural tradition of storytelling to create an origin with a narrative. I subscribe then to the practice of creating something out of nothing, or out of something that was lost. In other words, I feel the need to turn loss into something constructive rather than something reductive, or worse, destructive. I fell in love with poetry as an exercise in employing imagery and metaphor to render abstractions. It's a vehicle I use for self-storytelling, exploring fiction's power to illuminate truths. I also love making more concrete things and exploring the relationships between form, function, and aesthetics. Where there's a lack, a need, a negative space, I find there's empowerment in the ability to create, to customize, to personalize, and to self-express. I like working in almost every medium. And because I like telling stories through multiple mediums and encourage others to do the same, I decided to design a creatives cafe and named it Anecdote. I did all the typical startup prep while teaching culinary arts, but I still couldn't afford to hire regular pre-open help, so I had to take bootstrapping and DIY concepts to the extreme. I underwent 8 months of hardcore deep cleaning and renovations, eventually hired a staff, and finally opened in October of 2017. Then, 6 months later, Anecdote had to close. The landlords announced they were selling the building for demolition, and all of the tenants had to get out, despite some of us believing that we had secured a long-term lease. It felt like a catastrophe. Anecdote hadn't been open long enough to build any kind of momentum yet. As a startup, it wasn't yet profitable, and I wasn't earning wages from it, but had no time for another job. I'd still owe on long-term contracts and would need to pay bank loans for years to come, and I had a staff that I wanted to take care of. Since it was a long shot that I'd even opened in the first place, I faced the real potential of not finding a new location in time and going under, saddled with a lot of debt and the inability to recover my losses. I feared my vision for a creative space could die before having ever gotten started. It was looking bad. I was losing a lot. But I wasn't satisfied with that version of the story. I had to get creative and figure out how to master the art of losing. Anecdote relocated, re-deep cleaned, re-renovated, and reopened earlier this year. The losses still continued with a health scare, a major burglary only 3 days into the new space, things breaking pretty much all the time, and flooding in more ways than you could possibly imagine. So I just keep writing and rewriting, and so far the story hasn't ended yet. Anecdote, the second draft, is now located in Cap Hill, and every day I'm reminded why I've been doing the work. We're growing a community there through culture we're building with a mission to help our fellow creatives connect with one another and find inspiration and resources to pursue their passion projects. As I said, it's not a success story in business terms. I'm still struggling to recover losses from the start over. I still don't make money, and I'm still often overwhelmed, overworked, and feeling perpetually behind. But I've seen how the mission is serving our community, how it's meeting a need for creatives to find support and opportunities and each other, and I'm encouraged. So I wanted to share my experience and show you that it's okay to be in the messy middle of your own pursuits. Even when things get really hard, when you lose things that you care deeply about, I want to invite you to treat that loss not as a roadblock, but instead as a creative engine. And I want you to use it to propel you into the next chapter. And let me know if I can help. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emily. Great job. Give Emily a huge round of applause, our last speaker.